The Cold War tier list.
В центре. Другой раз так забудешь. Не вдумаешься глубоко. Посмотришь. Напротив Рейхстаг. А здесь Бранденбургские ворота, которые ебель-что камнем, который заложил. Все равно прошли.
At the end of World War II, the Cold War erupted between NATO versus the Warsaw Pact. This war, luckily for us, stayed cold. Might as well have gotten hot. Today I'm here to make a list looking at the performance of most of the countries in the Cold War. Starting off with the Polish SSR, and to be honest, they didn't really do very much. The Polish SSR, they however in the end had a revolution to free themselves, so I think they'll deserve like a C or a B, nothing too special. Maybe B, I don't know, maybe C, somewhere in between. Next we have Eastern Germany. Eastern Germany under Soviet occupation had to struggle a lot. They had to be in the Eastern Bloc, had the Berlin Wall, couldn't cross over. In the end, had a peaceful revolution. Thank God no actual wars broke out, so I guess C. Next, we have one of our first big players. Now, the USA. Oof, there's a lot which happened in the Cold War. First, developed the nuclear nukes, used them in World War II. Started as one of the major powers of the conflict with the Soviet Union. Had a lot of success, also failed sometimes. Vietnam. Yep. I think the USA gets a solid A tier just because Nam. Next we have the mighty nation of Luxembourg, and let's not take this one serious. S tier for you, Luxembourg. Great Britain started off as a great power. See, the secret great power it is known. Great Britain though lost its whole empire, did defend the Falklands, but overall is one of the big losers of the whole Cold War thing. Also lost a lot of influence, for example the Middle East, Egypt, and all of Africa. Must be a D. Similar to France, France also held on to their colonial empire for a bit, but then eventually also dissolved, sometimes in bloody wars. D tier together with Britain. Switzerland, we didn't really do a lot. We kind of are prepared for invasions. We have a lot of bunkers due to the Cold War. I guess like a standard C. Canada was America's little buddy, helped along everywhere. But yeah, nothing too special. B tier, same as Poland. Now the Czech SSR also managed to escape without a too bloody conflict. Was part of the Soviet bloc. Didn't do very much as far as I know. Correct me if I'm wrong. A standard C. Portugal, like Britain and France, was a big loser. Held on for a very long time to their colonies, actually, until pretty recent. Let me quickly look this up. Till when? Till 1974. So they held on for quite a bit. If I got this right, it was like the wars. Also, they kind of defended their territory for quite a bit, but still they belong to a loser. They do deserve a C, though. D, I'm not sure. C, just get to a C. The Hungarian SSR had some failed revolutions, didn't do anything too massive as far as I know. In the end managed to free themselves from the Soviets, so they did succeed in the end, so C tier as well. Now we have Afghanistan, and the only thing I can say to Afghanistan is S. They managed to survive an attack from the Soviet Union, just that deserves an S tier. Australia. What did Australia even do? I mean, they got their independence, but that's about it. C? Cuba is one of the major places where a lot of conflict happened. They managed to stay communist, they managed to keep their regime for such a long time. The whole Cuba crisis almost turned into a hot war. But eventually there was discussions between the Americans and the Soviets to end it, and then the Soviets took their nukes away. So I guess Cuba deserves like a B. Oh, this flag looks horrible. It's a bit annoying, but well. Romania. Romania also tried to not get pulled into the Comintern, was pulled in. Had a bit of a hard job. Standard C tier. España only joined NATO very late because they were very long still fascist under Franco. They also lost some colonies, didn't do too major. Just for loss of colonies, I'll give them a D. Might actually deserve a C. There's Double Britain, let's put that away. Belgium, as a lot of other European colonial nations, lost Belgian Congo, cut off a lot of hands, were very brutal to their colonies. I can't give them more than a D. Next we have, is it Vietnam, right? Yeah, it's Nam. Vietnam managed to hold off with some farmers. They held off the US. They as well deserve action S tier. Such a crazy overperformance. I mean, the Chinese supplied them, but still crazy overperformance. Actually, let's be realistic. Let's put Luxembourg just to 2. No, let's leave them there. But they would deserve like a D, C tier actually. Bulgaria tried to get away from the Axis and even joined the Allies, but didn't change the USSR from invading. That did stop the USSR from invading them. Were taken out. Belonged to the Eastern Bloc. Were there for quite some time. Managed to break free. Standard C. Greece was in NATO. They had some big disputes over Cyprus with Turkey. In the end, they didn't really do well. Had a revolution which they crushed. But then the whole Cyprus conflict was a bigger an issue. Caused a lot of NATO, a lot of trouble. Italy, one of the third nations from World War II, lost their colonial empire, but that already happened pretty soon after World War II. I think they were given it back for a while, then to release it into independence, and eventually did, so I guess a C tier. Didn't really do too much. The Dutch suffered a similar fate to Belgium. Lost the Dutch East Indies, lost a lot of their empire core because of decolonization. Didn't really do much else from that. D tier. Albania was was very sympathetic to the Comintern or the Warsaw Pact for a while, but then eventually left it. Managed to stay away from it, managed to keep their independence, which deserves a B tier. I didn't find the West Germany flag, so I just took this as a representation. West Germany did pretty well. Managed to reunite with Eastern Germany. There weren't any massive conflicts. They really got out of their whole economic crisis very well. A tier. They managed to become a economical power again after the devastation of their country, which is very impressive. Next we have Nationalist China. Nationalist China really didn't do well. They lost their civil war after World War II. Solid F tier. But I mean, they still have Taiwan till today, so but still, for what they could have had, it's a very big F. North Korea. In the Korean War, they really were impressive because it was basically South Korea plus all of NATO versus North Korea and China. The Soviets didn't even really send men to fight, it was all of China. So North Korea almost won, then almost lost, then almost won, and it was real zigzag. Turned into our crazy little empire boy, crazy little communist boy. Deserves an A tier just because I'm scared of them finding where I live and killing me. Communist China is an interesting one because they were pretty impressive. In the beginning they were very close to the Soviets. They were like little buddies. Let me make sure. Oh. They were like little buddies. Won their civil war, so that's already a plus. Like I just told you before, in North Korea they did a lot of... they basically carried the whole team. And supplied the Viet Cong. They are still in power today. China probably is a contender for A or S tier. Did they even lose something? I think S tier. they did really well. South Korea, similar to North Korea, actually faced a small conflict in China helping them. It would be impressive, but then the US and NATO saved them. So I think they technologically really advanced a lot, so I can't give them a D tier, so maybe a B tier. God, some of the flags look horrible. This should be the Soviet Union. Now the Soviets are a hard one for me to decide, since they were the leader of their whole bloc. For a while they were, every time the US intervened or every time they intervened, the other side intervened. The Soviet Union was winner of some conflicts, loser of some others. Definitely on S tier. They even in the end collapsed, so that's going to rank them down as well from A tier. But for the longest time, I mean, they managed to launch the first doggo to space. They were first in space, so they won the space race basically. They developed their own nukes. They managed to sustain, but yeah, really B tier. They didn't do that much impressive. Is there a nation I missed? No, I don't think so. Okay, so here is my tier list. I mean, there's just, if this would be like a normal, you would look good. But like this, I think I'm pretty pleased. This is my Cold War ranking. Tell me what you think. Give me your rankings. Tell me your corrections. I am interested in discussing this and having a whole discourse. I'd love to see some long threads of people commenting and others answering. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this kind of video again. Have a nice day and see you around.